Okay, everybody, welcome to the Reality Whisperer Webcast. The microphone is working this time. Hallelujah. I want to thank you all for being here tonight for the Reality Whisperer Webcast. Again, I was supposed to do this last night, but I just hit some really big financial snag yesterday that I had to deal with for most of the day, and everything was peachy, everything peaches and rainbows and whiskers on kittens, so it feels good. So I'm happy to be here tonight with everybody that's going to be on the broadcast tonight. So thank you, everybody, and we're going to have a Q&A here a little bit later on. Of course, the topic of tonight's discussion is going to represent that of balancing chaos. So looking into the chaos that's taking place here on the planet, this is actually something that we have all asked for. And really what that means is that we have asked for change. We have represented ourselves in saying that we're going to use our powers of manifestation. We're going to use our Jedi mind tricks in that way. And we have wanted change for a very, very long time. And now it is culminating since the time of 2012. And through 2012 and within these last 5-6 years, we have seen some major incredible shifts taking place. And the idea of politics shifting, the idea of just seeing all of these events coming together very, very quickly. Because when we're looking back in 2012, there was kind of a steady flow of events that was taking place. The steady flow of events was, again, just was intense, but it wasn't something where we feel like we're almost going into a full-wide panic. And here we are in October of 2017. Where all of these particular events are now just hitting us rapidly. It's like an Uzi automatic, right? Just constantly hitting us with all of these rapid fire changes that's taking place. And again, a lot of what I've been experiencing through a lot of my sessions, talking with people through all over the world. It's not just the North American people. It's everybody from all across the world. Not only is it about, political change and the monetary system, financial transformations, sociological landscape transformations, it's about us personally. And it's about people that are starting to open up and that are starting to awaken. Since 2008, when I first started this, I've talked to tens of thousands of people, online, in person, in groups and conventions and seminars, etc. And everybody I've talked to has been going through something phenomenal. It's been going through some type of incredible change. Brad, I'm starting to get third eye vision. Brad, I'm starting to hear voices that I cannot pinpoint within my reality. I can't see anybody there. I am starting to feel these connections with other beings. I'm connecting to extraterrestrials. I'm connecting to versions of myself within the future. I'm connecting with angelic consciousness. I'm reaching out to my oversoul. I'm seeing dimensions transform before my eyes. I wake up and I feel like I'm on another planet. And I can't even really recognize the people that are around me. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Right? So we go through these own personal states of chaos. And of course, a lot of us having that kind of analytical Western mind, we want to try and get to the bottom of this. We want to try and figure out exactly what's going on, how can I resolve this, how can I get the answers relating to everything that I'm experiencing. You're not really going to get answers. That's the whole idea, is when spirit decides to work with you, you cannot look at this on a logical level. When you're working with spirit, and this will be the first part of balancing chaos tonight, when you're working with spirit, spirit decides to work with you. It's not the other way around. Now, spirit is not here to sip tea with you and sit at your coffee table and tell you all about itself. It's not going to do that. That's not what it has been arranged to do. So when I'm talking about spirit, I can represent many different forms. The immutability as it relates to spirit. And spirit has everything relating to guides, to higher self, to loved ones, to, again, different extensions of us, what we consider in the distant future, oversoul consciousness, etc. And basically what they are here to do is to help us awaken, is to helping us open ourselves up. And one of the big questions I often get is that, why can't spirit just open up? Why can't it just tell me what it is that I'm supposed to do? Why all this runaround? Why always beating around the bush? Why am I never able to hear what Spirit wants me to do? Why can't I be guided in that particular way? Just get to the point. Because again, that's not Spirit's role. It's not here to hold your hand and tell you everything that you need to do. It's no more different than if we're playing a video game and we're getting, we're playing it for the first time and we're getting this person beside us just telling us where to go and how to beat every level and how to get the most points and everything like that. It no longer becomes a challenge. It's like a person in that sense who's sitting next to you in a movie theater and is telling you all the plot points of this film you've eagerly wanted to see. You want them to shut the hell up, right? The same thing goes with Spirit. It's not here to hold your hand. It's not here to tell you all your plot points. It's not here to tell you how to advance to the next level and to do it for you, right? It's here to assist you. It's here to help you out, but all it can really do is spread breadcrumbs. Well, why, Brad? Why can it only spread breadcrumbs? Because we are on a planet of free will. And the most primary law within this planet of free will is that of confusion. And through confusion, we need to make choice. And through choice, we make decision. And through decision, we work together with feeling out situations to helping us understand that we are working to trust ourselves. If we're working on a unified planet, it's very, very different. In fact, Spirit communicates with you a lot more on a unified level. But because humanity is originally supposed to be a social, connected species, and because we are fragmented in this state of separation illusion, then Spirit is only able to help us so much because we're caught up in this fog. And this is what represents the aspect of free will. Free will is just being able to go inside yourself, feel what is true to you, and being able to make that decision, to make a choice, and let it be a choice, a decision that has your 100% full consensus behind it. Well, Brad, I've made those kind of decisions before, and it left me to situations that were not so pleasant. Yeah, and that can happen as well, too. Why does that happen? Well, it happens simply because there are still some karmic entanglements that are still happening with you that has prevented you from going into something that would represent a new revelation. You basically have to look at all of these tendrils, all these tentacles that are basically wrapping around you based upon old paradigm systems. And basically what many people, including myself in the past, what we've tried to do is we've tried to build a bridge between the new paradigm and the old paradigm and bring them together and forge them together and thinking that they can coexist. No. They cannot coexist. You have one world or you have another. And basically in that sense, yeah, I'll have spirituality within certain conditions. I'll have an empowering situation that will unfold for me, but I still want it to fit my 9-to-5 theme of what I'm going through. No. You will destroy yourself by doing that. You're basically going to go into psychotic madness by doing that, right? You're going to make these really big changes, these really big choices that are helping you to move yourself into the next level of your own evolutionary state of being. And this is what we all go through. And I know it's challenging, believe me, I know. I've certainly had those experiences myself, and I know we all have. But the whole key here is that we have come here to offer our light, to offer our love, to bring this planet into a new transformational state of being. And in order for us to do that, nothing of the old system that has represented corruption, that has represented unfairness, that has represented inequality, that has represented imbalance can remain. So if you're still playing a lot of the game that says I can have both worlds, one that's very, very limiting and confining, and the other that is completely malleable, open, grassroots, expansion, love, transformation, new communication, new ways of connection, I can have them both, then you're going to, again, be going through this rat race. You're going to feel tied down because you cannot really decide, should I go all the way to the new world or should I stay with the old? And each of us have this choice. And this is why there's this rainbow bridge between two realities right now. is that we're still attempting to work within ourselves. What is our true dedication to ourselves? What is it that we can actually put in authentically to helping us evolve, to expanding ourselves into new heights? And that comes through trial and error. That's being able to go through certain situations that authentically brought you there, but it's authentically bringing you there as a means of attempting to resolve a situation that on a face or interface or a surface level seems pretty nasty, feels pretty awful. For example, we may have the guidance to go and talk to an old family member or an old friend that we've had a lot of animosity with in the past, or they've had animosity with us, and we are basically being guided, let's wrap this up, let's tie up the loose ends. And it's maybe not a very, very pleasant experience, but you do it. Maybe that person is still angry at you, but you were able to get your version of closure there. You were able to say, let's have bygones be bygones, let's transform this, and let's move on. Oh, I don't want to do this, this is your fault, this is all your fault, and everything that you do is your fault, blah, 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 right? And that's fine. If a person gets into that alignment, there's not much you can do about that. You can't change another person, but you're doing this for you. You're balancing out your chaos, right? So the same goes to the point as it relates to collective chaos, that there's a lot of things happening right now. There's been a lot of false flag events. There's been a lot of shifts that have caused a great deal of terror, a great deal of fear, a great deal of panic upon this planet. Why is this happening? It's basically, in a very polite way, lighting a fire under the collective's ass to really get it going and saying that you need to share what you know. You need to expose what you are feeling. You need to expose from the heart. You need to move yourself into a different direction. You're speaking and you're sharing your voice. You're sharing your inspirations. You're exposing your truth. As more and more of us do this, and we're all very loud about it, this is what's going to create new kinks in the works. This is what's going to create throwing monkey wrenches into the old machine and watching it break down. More and more people are being awakened, right? Now, it's not about being on a magic show or attending a magic show and sitting in the middle of the audience and feel that you are so sick of this magician, you want to go up and strangle him because you see through his acts. And nobody else, maybe. They're just blindly, oh, look at that, you pulled a rabbit out of a hat. Oh, that's pretty cool, right? But you are the one that sees this. And so what are you doing? Rather than trying to run up to that stage and throw something at the magician or strangle him, you're standing up and saying, this is how he's doing all this stuff. This is exactly how he's able to do all these tricks. Now you have everybody going, I thought about that. I thought something like that was up. Now what did we create? We created a new transformational energy. We created a truth bomb in that way. But this is something that is non-violent. It's basically resistance, but it's the Gandhi way. But this is what each and every single one of us are here to do. It's not about feeling that we have to fight fire with fire, because that's only going to create more chaos. There's a lot of awful things that have happened on this planet. There's been drug trafficking, there's been child trafficking, there's been pedophilia, there's been pedogate, there's been Pizzagate, there's been all of these terrible things that have happened. But this is a blessing in disguise because it's no longer hidden in the veils. People are now becoming aware of this. As they become aware of this more and more, there is no longer going to be a tolerance for that. It is going to be exposed, and the people that have been hiding in the shadows, doing a lot of these horrible things, are now having that veil. The drape is now opening up, and people are being exposed. This is why this horrible information needs to come together. As Adronis has stated a lot of times, is that this is what needs to happen. Your entire reality needs to go through these emotional tremors. It needs to share something with you that sounds truly awful, truly terrible, as a means for you to change it. It's like looking back at Nostradamus's predictions. That basically when Nostradamus made these types of predictions as it related to some very chaotic situations, he didn't do it because he was getting off on it. He did it because this was the means of helping the collective to change. to choose a reality collectively that we could move into. In order for you to do that, you must first see what you don't want to see. You must first realize what is going on behind the scenes so that you are able to now say, this is happening. We can now change. We can now move ourselves in this direction. We're going to pull off all of these blinders. We're going to pull off all of these veils from all of these people that have been milking this illusion for centuries, for many millennia. And now we're letting it all be exposed. That's what we're here to do. We're system busters. This is not the first planet that many of us have worked with. A lot of us have gone to other planets. We've all pulled the veils off them as well too, because they had secrecy. They had corruption. They had experiments and other particular fiascos going on, perhaps not to the extreme like we have here on Earth, but it's something that we have done before. And basically this can relate to the idea of enslavement agendas and basically keeping a free will based planet under a veil for a very long time. So while the left hand is up here waving around, the right hand is down here doing something else. And now we're pulling all the veils off so you can see both hands. And that's what we're here to do. So whenever you're asking yourself, oh my God, this world is falling apart, all this chaos about pedophilia and pedogate and drug trafficking and child trafficking and these shootings and these false flags and everything that's happening, look how educated you sound by saying all those things. All of this has now been brought into the light. It's a horrible thing that's taking place, but it's been taking place for a very long time, well before you even knew about it. And now you know about it. Like many people have stated in the past few years, when this type of disclosure is going to come out, it is going to be a very hard pill to swallow. It is going to be a great truth bomb. It is going to be a data dump. And that's what's been happening, is all of these particular collective data dumps that have been happening to basically shock you into a state of change, rather than living in a state of complacency where everything you feel is okay. By burying your head in the sand, by plugging your ears, by singing a song, la, 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 I'm not listening, right? Basically can't even really do that anymore. Everything is now being brought out into a state of exposure. And it's being exposed so that we can get all of this out into the open. So the collective consciousness is now aware of what's happening, and they can go, oh my God, this is awful. This is terrible. This is inhuman. Good. Because now that you're reacting that way, that's giving you the chance to plant the seeds in the soil, to say, this is the type of reality that I prefer. I do not want to see all of these horrible things that are taking place. I'm going to share my truth about it. I'm going to expose this. I'm going to work together with others, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to expose it. We're going to release this information. And you're educating people along the way. Now, basically, what I see a lot of people do is they get very, very angry if people don't get what they're trying to say. You're starting a fire with fire by doing that. Please be patient with people. Rather than constantly calling them sheep, rather than constantly saying, oh, the sheeple don't get it, what are you solving by saying that? That doesn't help anything. Be patient with people. It's like looking at a bunch of kids in kindergarten and the teacher says, oh, you kids don't even know what 2 + 2 is. They've never even heard what 2 + 2 is yet. And it's, oh my God, these kids are so stupid. I'm wasting my time with these dumb kids. Blah, blah. Arrogance, right? And so the whole idea is that we want to make sure we are being steadfast, yes, but we're also being patient for people who do not get this. They have come from a world where they have buried their head in the sand, or they have not been able to be informed about everything that's going on because they've been so transfixed onto the illusion. Rather than saying, oh, there's people that are woke and there's people that are asleep, it's an us versus them. And that's what we're creating by doing that. It helps nothing to do that. Be patient with people that are still going through these shifts. People are awakening every single day. They're transforming themselves. They're realizing what these things are. They're starting to see how this chaos is affecting the entire planet. And now they're awakening themselves into the reality that we are collectively deciding to move into. So we're seeing that physical split. We're going to see people who, yes, who will be very, very stubborn. They'll want to put up a fight. They'll want to debate this to death, and it'll get nowhere. Let those people be. You've already shared what you need to share. If people are not able to digest that, let them go on their own path. Let them decide what they need to focus on here. You cannot control another person. You cannot change another person. You cannot manipulate another person. The only way that a manipulation is possible is when a person is vulnerable to a certain theme that they have yet to understand. Then when you're basically creating this influence in that way, then they can latch on to that because it's a lack of understanding, right? That's what manipulation is. That's what healing is, everything of that nature. So all we're attempting to do here is just being able to become aware of what we know as our own truth, and that chaos is all part and parcel of change. If we were not going through change on this planet right now, it would still be very much in a state of complacency. We'd still have people burying their heads in the sand, and so many things would be happening behind the scenes. The hands would be waving, and we'd have veils covering those hands, and we wouldn't be able to see what they're doing. So this is giving us a full-out view that change has happened, that there is transformation, and you need to have chaos in the state of change before natural balance starts to come together. Because this is all part of a very, very heated time on our planet where we're seeing all of these things change, all of these things transform. We've had all kinds of nasty stuff happen for thousands of years on this planet. We've had civilizations rise and fall because of certain corrupt deeds that they've been doing to this planet, from human sacrifices, from just belittling people and making them starve and conquering territory, and it's awful, right? And so civilizations have come and gone because the civilizations were just basically getting too out of hand. They're again trying to represent this whole control arena and basically trying to take over the whole world and basically create it into that of a control. Now, if we did not have this particular type of intervention, where this change, where this chaos was happening, and again, people was putting their heads in the sand, this basically would have led to a master reset, which means that a certain amount of people would be taken off the planet and Earth would be master resetted, which means everything would basically be wiped out, right? We don't have to do that. That's not a timeline that we have to experience. We are now at a point of no return where all of this change has happened, which means the ground crew on planet Earth have been successful. We have been able to stir the pot enough to basically say, I'm not putting up with any of this corruption, with any of this nastiness, with any of this horrible nature that's been happening on this planet, these distortions. It's time for a change. Enough is enough. And now enough of us have done that. We've spoken our truth. We've shared our perspectives. And now this is catching on in the collective. So this is where I say to everybody that's part of the ground crew, congratulations, we did it. And right now this needs to run through the transitional process. This needs to move to the transitional stage. Who is ready to expand and who is ready to quake in fear and stay within the controlled product because ignorance is bliss. When you have the ignorance is bliss crowd, they go to third density. When you have the people waiting to expand, to move themselves into new horizons, who genuinely want to help people, who want to improve themselves, they're moving into the fourth density regime, right? That's basically it. And we're seeing this divide happening. The negative will continue to attract more negative. The positive will continue to attract more positive. Be aware of yourself. You already know the path that you're on. I can basically say pretty much everybody that watches this webcast, he's already on that path to fourth density, because I see a lot of caring people, a lot of loving people, people who really want to see change, transformation, empowerment come through. And those are the ones, those are the folks that are now crossing the rainbow bridge from one dimension into another. And really, with everything heating up as it is, it's going to get more intense. It's like we're looking at a big cauldron and we have this little fire underneath it, and now that fire is only going to start intensifying day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. It's going to continue. It's going to be more intense. Brace yourself, right? What's really important right now is that you are in a state of self-reflection. You have to decide exactly the type of reality you want to create, the type of reality you want to perceive. This is not going to get easier. This is going to get more challenging. And it's going to get to that point where every hour something is happening. Every 30 minutes something is happening. Every 10 minutes something is happening. Every 5 minutes something is happening. Every minute something is happening. Every 30 seconds something is happening. Every 15 seconds something is happening. Every 5 seconds it's starting to happen. Every second something is starting to happen. And then you move into fourth density. That's basically what's going to happen. It's like looking at a very big orchestra. And we're just seeing all of these rapid cutting patterns. It's like those master sous chefs, with the knife, cutting the carrot, just thin little slices. That's what we're going through. That's what we need to basically go through this immense shift. And when that culmination point of the 0 point hits, there's a solar flare, there's a coronal mass ejection, something happens from the sky, the body of the Earth transforms into rainbow body, and now we move from one dimension into another. That's basically how this entire orchestra is going to go, but through a sequence of different coronal mass ejections, a sequence of different solar flares. And again, I've talked about what fourth density is like, but again, we still don't know. I've never really experienced full fourth density to this body's conscious memory before. Again, I'm getting impressions of it. I've certainly felt that I've transitioned into that veil quite a few times. Just waking up one morning and you're feeling like everything feels lighter. It feels like a floating sensation. It just feels like there's less mass where you are. And that's an instance of fourth density. And like Adronis has stated, 2016 was a fourth density compliant planet to what Earth has become. So we're on that particular path. We're feeling a lot of that transition. We're seeing ourselves coming in, and we're seeing this screen door behind us close. And what type of experiences will we have in fourth density? Are we still going to interact with the third density crowd? And basically, from what Adronis has stated, in a form of hindsight, in a way of looking at it as almost like holograms. We're not really involving ourselves with the dramas of their third density reality, but they may still play a certain part as we kind of look at them from behind the screen where we are right now. Will the third density people be aware of the fourth density? No, not really. And however they decide to compose themselves in that way, that's up to them. Because it basically feels that the third density as we know it will probably not last. It basically, again, needs to go through a sweeping, and within that 50 to 100 year span, the third and the fourth density combine just into a fourth density for a new third density just below it to take place. So whatever happens between those span of years with the third density, no one really knows. And Adronis can really only tell us so much because it's so much more important that we experience this for ourselves and we see for ourselves what's happening. And when that time comes, when we shift into fourth density, is everybody going to be aware that they're even on a fourth density planet? Some won't even be aware. Some will just wake up, oh, it's another day, it's another morning, I'll get the coffee started, I'll start working, whatever it is. No, a lot of people will not even be aware that they're in fourth density. Why? Because third density is what we know. That's how we've created things in that way. And this is why there's a selective part of people that are moving into fourth density. It's not to say that you can't create a third density grid in a fourth density plane. You certainly can. But all of that is just going to transition itself away. It's like a slow transparency that just starts to get slower and slower each passing year. And then we realize we're in fourth density so much because your ability to manifest will be really, really quick. Your ability to transform yourself, your ability to communicate with other beings, astral, etheric, etc., will become very, very natural. Your natural abilities will start to become heightened. It's not to say you're going to have these natural abilities to fly, or you can have these natural abilities to teleport or anything like that. No, it's still that there's a lightness that's happening, and there certainly is a different transformation taking place as it relates to the mirrors of our reality. But we're not just going to be given instant teleportation. We're not just going to be given instant levitation or flying in that way. We have to work towards those particular tasks. We have to develop those for ourselves. Nothing in the universe is ever given to you. You earn it. You earn it through your own capability to explore what that technique is, to explore what that ability is, and to make it your own. It's like I said, no one's going to basically make you a scientist. If you want to become a scientist, you need to go to school. You need to educate yourself. You need to have that commitment to walk upon that path. The universe is not going to make you a scientist. You can align to that because there is an aspect within the universe of you being a scientist, but it's not just going to, here you go, Brad, here's your cardigan, put it on. Here's your Einstein wig, put it on. There you go. You're a scientist. Hey, I didn't even ask for this. Thanks. Right? We need to work towards all of these abilities, to everything regarding to our education. It's not just going to be handed to you. Because I've had people that have emailed me and said, Brad, can you give me like superpowers? Can you like activate my third eye? And I have like all these super abilities and stuff like that, like what you have. Well, first of all, guys, I don't have super third eye abilities, right? My capability is claircognizance, the ability of instantaneous knowing. That's my strongest aspect. I certainly have little glimpses here and there of certain third eye, inner eye aspects, but I can't give you anything, right? It's basically when we start to develop these activations within ourselves, we're moving ourselves into new horizons within our life that are trigger points. And these trigger points are now letting us know we've been able to resolve something within ourselves that has now cleared a veil. And now that that veil has been cleared, now we have some particular type of ability that is now just starting to gradually unfold within ourselves. But we did that. I didn't give that to anybody. Nobody else gave it to that person. That person realized what they had to do. They walked a certain trigger point. That trigger point hit. And now they're able to develop this particular ability. Maybe it is inner sight in that sense, whatever it may be. But that's basically the idea, is that they still needed to go through processes to lift up these veils and transform themselves. Many people have to develop themselves in feeling that their illnesses or ailments are able to transition because they were able to surrender to something. They were able to focus their energies into a new element of their life, right? If it was something to do with sexual inadequacy, they had a powerful sexual experience, all of a sudden some sort of pain that was sexual related, gone. Well, that's all it is. That's all these illnesses and ailments, chronic diseases, etc. are. They're basically veils that we've put upon ourselves for the state of learning, right? That's the important part. It's not about thinking that someone's just going to snap their fingers or do energy work on you and take this away. Because if they do that, if you have not learned the lesson, then in the times ahead, there will be another situation that will come together and put you back into square one. And that person that is attempting to lift that energy out of you, if this is not done properly, they will inherit that karma for themselves, right? So you want to be very, very careful, firstly, as an energy healer. Secondly, as being responsible for yourself, making sure that you're not getting caught up in other forms of distortions, feeling that, you know, I have this particular disease, I want someone to get rid of it for me, right? Okay, someone might be able to get rid of it for you, but if you have not been able to see the underlying principle of what that disease represents, if you haven't been able to give balance to your own chaos, you're going to get something else because you have not learned about what that disease is attempting to tell you. It represents the idea of you realizing a voluntary impairment that you have put into yourself. So being able to heal a lot of people and take away their sickness is not the answer. Educating people about why they have a sickness, educating people about their ailments, educating people about their blocks, educating people about their veils is the greatest thing that you can offer. Not snapping your fingers, not doing this, hey, taking all this stuff out of the heart chakra, now all that cancer is gone, etc. So this is where we need to really look in saying that when people have these particular types of ailments, this is based upon a voluntary aspect of distortion, something that they have put upon themselves, and that this virus is basically trying to tell you what that is. It may just be open your heart a lot more, start to care more for other people, start to share emotions again. If it's sexual problems in that sense, really start to realize the power of the orgasm on an energetic level, on a soulful level, on a heart level, rather than just fapping and, you know, hitting an ejaculation. Oh, that's it. Oh, that's good. Where's the cigarette? Right? So this is, again, why we have these particular blocks, these chaoses within ourselves. And basically our ability to balance it out is being able to listen, to tune into the body. So we can get people certainly to help us, to guide us through what is going on, to give us some particular insight, but we have to do the work. And it's very, very important that we're just being mindful about this aspect of healing, of taking away people's pain. You are robbing them by doing that. It's very important that they are learning about the pain that they are going through. And it can sound horrible. That's, oh, Brad, are you saying that people need to suffer and all that stuff? Suffering is a choice. It's a choice that has been created through the eye of the beholder, right? So if we're basically putting all of this suffering upon ourselves, nobody else has done that to us, right? We've done that to ourselves because we've held back love. We've created lack in a situation. We're not listening to ourselves. We hold ourselves in neglect. We hold animosity towards people, places, events, and things based upon situations that we have not come to terms with. And so we start manifesting these things into our body, and that becomes the chaos. When we start listening to ourselves, when we start going inwards, and we start communicating with our body, and we start meditating, we start opening ourselves up, you know, even if it's not meditation, if it's just something where you can focus upon yourself and realize something's here. Maybe I heard from somebody and they told me about this, and I feel that intuitively they're correct. And I need to look into myself. I need to open my heart space. I need to feel more stability with my own self and comfortable with my own self to make my own decisions. Well, there you go. Now you start getting all these huge revelations. Those pains go away. Those viruses dissolve overnight. You have the capability of making all of that change happen, right? So this is what I want to share as it relates to balancing chaos together as a whole, from both on an individual level and a collective level, and what's happening on this planet relating to the aspect of chaos that is now moving itself into transition and will eventually come back into a balance point once we realize that what needs to be exposed gets exposed, with us being the ground crew and the system busters, to being able to make this happen, to being able to educate people in that way. Then we see a whole new world unfolding, because all of the truth that has held the aspect of the human race back is now being revealed. Okay? So, hope that makes sense to everybody. Okay, great guys. So we're going to go ahead and move on to questions now, a question and answer period. So if you guys do have questions for myself, or if you do have questions for Adronis, just say Adronis in your post. And I'm just going to go ahead and look and see what we got here for a question. Okay. Here's one here from Tanya. Tanya asks a question. What could be the significance, multidimensionally and or spiritually, if you sleep quickly and deeply every night and never remember your dreams ever? You're unpeeling yourself. You're unpeeling energetic cycles. Dreams in that sense are a type of a convenience in that way. And I've met a lot of people who have had like really, really profound experiences when sleeping, but they don't have dreams behind it. Dreams are messages in a bottle. They're messages from our own higher self. They're letting us know that when certain things need to be addressed, then it's going to give some type of symbolic reference as it relates to a dream. Basically, if you're going into a dream state, or I should say a sleep state, and you're not dreaming, then you're having all of these veils peeled off of you. Simply because there doesn't need to be an interface or something that you would need to recollect about you transforming, about you going through these major energetic shifts. So you're basically going through a very strong energetic detoxification situation where an interface on a dream level plane is not necessary. You're just feeling good. You're feeling this acceleration. You're feeling these transformations taking place while you're going to sleep, but you don't recall anything that would represent some type of dream template about what's happening. And that's the whole idea. Again, this is how spirit works. It's behind the scenes. We're only going to give you little residues. We're going to give you little dewdrops, little breadcrumbs, sometimes about what's happening, but we're just really working on you behind the scenes so that you can do your job down here. That's why we're here. The ground crew is basically 0.0000000000001% informed about what's actually going on, right? Our job is to focus right here, is to transition ourselves, transform ourselves, unpeel these veils that have been with us for quite some time, go through these energetic detoxifications, these emotional detoxifications, these physical detoxifications, these mental detoxifications, and being able to transform ourselves so that we can do the work that we are here to do. And that's to bring love to where there has been lack. Okay? Thank you, Tanya. Hope that answered your question. Okay. Just going to move up a little bit more to where it was. Okay, here's one from Robert Wagner. Robert asks, will DNA repair happen? I heard that immortality will be a possibility. Well, here's the thing. For your first question, DNA repair is happening. It's basically that we're all going through a transmutational process right now, and it's really hard to put that in a generic level because everybody's DNA is changing differently based upon their own appropriations and themes and characteristics of being, because all of us have, yes, a similar genome construct, but there's differentiations within the base coding. And so we're getting these transformations, these mutations of like codons that are taking place that are evolving ourselves in different ways. Now, I heard that immortality is a possibility. Spiritual immortality, yes. Physical immortality, no. You cannot really have immortality from a physical form. A physical form is fragile. A physical form is vulnerable. Even if you do have technology that's basically able to reset your DNA over and over and over again, somebody could basically just rip open that roof and have it fall on you while you're inside that machine, and lights out for your body. So basically there is longevity when it comes to physical being, when it comes to physical form. When we're looking into immortality, that is a spiritual aspect. Spiritual immortality is only that which can be achieved. Anything else as it relates to a form is only a means of longevity. Whether it be technological, whether it be with us going into an advanced level and working with our bodies in that sense. But again, it can only go to a certain point. There may be people who may live 1,000 years, 5,000 years, 10,000 years, 25,000 years, etc. But they still count themselves within a finite aspect of space-time or time-space, and that eventually that form will deteriorate, perhaps from other means, not just through the idea of DNA transformation, but through elements, through other forms of events that can take place that says it's time for me to go. And another reason is all physical forms have contracts, right? I don't care if you have a super advanced, super duper Hasbro edition DNA repair system inside your basement, right? I'm exaggerating a bit, but once you go into that machine and thinking that this is it, you know, I'll be in this body forever. No, you're only in life for as long as your contract dictates. We're contractors. That's the whole idea. Souls are contractors. They will sign energetic contracts and come to a certain planet to take care of certain things that need to be done based upon their expertise. That also includes souls who want to be the tyrants, souls who want to be the dictators. We need a really good dictator that'll just light the fire under people's butts. This soul's great for it, right? Come on in. You're going to be the dictator for this reality. All right, I'll do it, right? That's basically how it is. It's a casting arrangement, right? You know, the Mother Earth casts all these people. The 7.5 billion people that they're here on this planet right now, were all casted to be here. All signed the dotted line, all contracted to be here. And so really when you have that contract, there will always be an expiration date, no matter how you try and lengthen out your longevity, right? Some of us may not even want to live thousands or hundreds of thousands of years in that sense, because we're going to have other experiences to go through. And if we truly want to take our own consciousness, our own personality with us, you work into spiritual immortality. You develop your yang energy, you develop your yin energy, you develop your cosmic energy, and you eventually create a duplicate body. And that duplicate body, when this physical body expires, that consciousness of yours goes into that duplicate astral, etheric body, and now the universe is all yours. You can go wherever you want, you can do whatever you want, you can become any form you wish, and you're basically in that state of undyingness, but you also have your memories. You have your memories of this life. You can also pull in memories of other lifetimes as well too, if that's within your own conscientiousness. You can also access the records when you're basically up there as well too, and get a lot more remembrance about what's taking place. So that's the immortality on a spiritual level, but not on a physical level, no. So thank you again, Robert, for your question. Zena says, yes, you are Wolverine. Not yet. I don't have any clouds coming out. Okay. Okay, here's one from Tom Madness. Question, Adronis, who created the Sphinx and the pyramids in Egypt? Is there something inside the Sphinx? Okay, so this is for Adronis, so I'll just take a moment to bring Adronis through and see if he can provide some insight with that. Here we go. Terra. Soul Star. Sirius. Adronis. We are here at this time, and we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning into this broadcast through your internet collective consciousness. We thank you very much, Tom, for your question, relating to that of who built the pyramids. Well, many creators built pyramids, and not basically all that you would consider to be one precise group. Now, if you're looking into the Giza Plateau in that sense, the overseer to that particular project would be the being that you would know as Thoth. He was the overseer in that particular way. He led a particular regime of what you would refer to as masterful beings that have emerged from Atlantis and that were also, in that sense, extraterrestrial visitors. Now, basically, these extraterrestrial visitors and these particular adepts from Atlantis basically came together to help and create the construct that represents that of what you would know as the Giza Plateau. So again, this was all part of the genuine construct developed through the being that you would know as Thoth, simply because he has had many different lifetimes in your ancient past, from times in Atlantis, and even going back into, shall we say, the earlier colonial times of your Earth as well. And basically, he was what you refer to as a type of Nikola Tesla at that time. He was able to see the foresight. He was able to have visions about how these particular forms of constructs were created. Now, going into the aspect of the Sphinx. The Sphinx itself, again, was created by the adepts of Atlantis, but again, was utilized in that sense to function as a type of haven. It also represented an ancient library. Many of you have heard about what's known as the Hall of Records that have existed under the right paw of the Sphinx. This is true. That the Sphinx's face, its own head, once represented that of a cat, or a lion being in that sense, rather. This itself is true, paying homage into the ancient Lyran civilizations. Also paying homage to Sirius as well, to where this also has what you would know as feline or lion-like beings that exist. Connected to Sirius, connected to Orion, connected to the Pleiades, and of course, channeling the spirit of Lyra. So many different adepts were responsible for the creation of the Sphinx, but the concept of the Sphinx itself related to that of the being that you know as Thoth. And so basically he put all of this together, and others worked together on his behalf to assist in creating this particular plateau that was all part of a monument, that was all part of initiation, that was all part of fertility, of the land. That was all part of the ancient knowledge of unification, to where many different nations upon that time contributed their own knowledge to that of Egypt. It was the cornerstone to advancement. It was the cornerstone of helping yourselves to understand humanity and its own ancestors in a unified property, to which the Giza Plateau itself, we will say, represents. We thank you. All right, thank you very much for the question. So we'll move forward and scrolling down. Okay. Oh, sorry, I just lost my place in line here. Okay, so there's one here from Luciana Torres. She asks, I'd like Adronis to talk more about this idea that not everyone who wishes to develop psychic abilities is capable at this moment, even following this as highest excitement. Some of us just won't. Okay, thank you, Luciana. One moment, please. We thank you very much, Luciana, for your question. As it relates to quote-unquote psychic abilities, not everybody will, but all of you have the capability to do it. The whole idea is that you will never really know your capabilities until the time of your life concludes. Basically, in that sense, everybody does have the capability to develop themselves psychically. But basically, it also relates to the idea that their own validity of that psychic nature needs to be prominent there. You're all psychic beings. You're all capable of this intuition, these abilities to communicate with each other as one. These ideas about being able to see past the linear time progression and being able to see into the ethers and seeing certain opportunities of events to come forward. All of you have that capability. In fact, many of you are already psychic. You just don't know that you're actually being psychic. So again, it can be a mixed result of response here. So again, you will never really know what you're capable of until your life concludes. So as we've stated, there are people who have passed this plane who did have particular abilities within them, but they never gave them value. They never validated those particular aspects of abilities within themselves because that was not crucial to what they had to learn within the life prior to them passing. So again, everything's available to you right now. Your validity determines the action and that particular usage of such abilities in question. We thank you for your question together. Thank you, Luciana. All right. Thank you very much, Luciana. We'll move on. So we got about 15 minutes left, so we'll probably do about 3 or 4 more questions here. So we're just making sure we're not really doing too much personal questions, guys. I want to try and make sure that our questions are kind of semi-personal, just so it can benefit everybody that's watching right now. Okay, there's one here from Sarah. It's kind of semi-personal, so it'd be something that's acceptable. But the question is, I tend to feel detached from my body. Can you help me understand what is occurring? Well, basically, it's in that sense where you're feeling this spiritual upliftment. You're feeling that you're much more in touch with spirit than you are in physicality. Basically, it's a lack of grounding in that way. We feel very floaty, especially if we're communicating with angels or higher dimensional beings, or we're giving so much of our love space. We're really, increasing the feminine flow to ourselves. We're connecting much more deeply to our spirit, but we're not anchored. We're not grounded here on planet Earth or in this physical body. So basically, when you're feeling a lot of that afloatness, when you're feeling very light, when you're connecting deeper with spirit in that sense, that's a great thing. But it's also important to know that you have a physical body here. So when you're basically going to that quote-unquote detachment, which is not really what's happening, but it's basically your pulled focus. You're putting that focus of a great deal of spiritual energy towards these spiritual phenomena. It's about being able to take that spiritual energy and play with it inside your physical body. bring that aspect to where your spiritual body is way up here and bring it inside, right? And this is just all part of being able to apply grounding techniques, right? Paint a picture, right? Draw something, play some music, start dancing, meditate in nature, whatever it is you feel you want to do, that's giving you the complement to where spirituality and physicality are together in this hemisphere, two hemispheres now coming together as one. So that's really what I could share with you in that sense. But yeah, there's people I've talked to who basically just don't want to be in their physical body. They just want to go astral travel. They want to go connect with spirit a lot more deeply, and that's fine. But basically when there's an overage of that, this is where certain situations can unfold that can be troublesome. It can basically put some people in jeopardy, because our intention here is to bring heaven onto earth, right? To have those two aspects together, to be that human spirit. So basically when that human, that spirit combined, and you do all this work, then there will be the time where you'll return back into spirit. But you've harmonized your life. You've made yourself connect much more deeply to yourself. And again, suffering is a choice. It does not matter who is on this planet, under what situation. Suffering is based upon a state of choice. And that kind of brings me to a little bit of a side topic here in that sense that I'll address as well. And I believe I may have touched a little bit on this in a previous video on my channel as well, as it relates to the aspect of suffering, as it relates to impoverishment, as it relates to seeing people basically going through this type of poverty in that sense. Now, if we were to basically look at the country of India, for example, there are a lot of people that really do not have a home. There are a lot of people who have very small amounts of food to eat. And again, a lot of them are basically just together in nature in that way. Yet, they're not suffering, right? In fact, this is what a lot of gurus, a lot of yogis, a lot of ancient masters will do, is they'll go into caves or they'll retreat into nature and they'll start living off of nature. And as we see those people, we may say, oh my God, they just look like they're in horrible physical shape. They feel like they're skin and bones. They must be going through such impoverished lifestyles. Not always, right? It's the idea that their degree of how they want to develop themselves comes from the path of nature, which means they've excluded that aspect of the social framework altogether. But basically looking into people who we feel, again, are starving across the world, and saying, you know, I really want to do so much to help. I really want to get finances together. I want to put food supplies together, and I want to help those people. Okay, that's good. However, what you're basically doing is you're feeding their survival. You're not actually educating them. And basically what this is this is only fueling their validity that they are feeling like a victim in that particular way. Your key to being able to help persons or people across the planet or wherever they may be, sit down with them, talk to them and share with them how beautiful they are and what they are capable of, how you see them, and really just show such beauty through yourself that is therefore being reflected upon that person. And if that person is quite receptive to that, you've made one of the greatest contributions to them seeing this themselves as you acting as that catalyst mirror. You've shown them that they're worth something. You've shown them that they represent a great state of value that they're now realizing. And what have they done now? They've taken themselves off that survival queue, and they now move themselves into a state of empowerment. So their theme will change in anything that they feel is respective. But basically being able to feel that the resolution to all these people that are hungry, to all these people that are feeling suffering, that are feeling victimhood in that way, is not handing them dollar bills. It is not handing them big cases of food or big cases of drink and thinking that that's going to resolve the problem. It won't. What is going to transform them is the ability of education that is going to share with these particular people how valuable they are in your eyes, the love that you give to them. And when, again, people that are receptive to that, who are now accepting this for themselves and saying, wow, nobody's ever talked to me like that before. You really see me as this valuable person? Absolutely, because here's what I feel the capabilities you have within yourself from what I'm sensing from you. And now you're having this great conversation with a person, you're educating them, you're talking to them just as a person to a person, heart to heart. you have made a big difference just by doing that alone. And by having more and more people coming together and working together with people like that, that is what transitions the aspect of suffering. Not your wallet, not what you contribute as clothes and stuff like that. Again, that can help to a certain extent. But again, that's only representing the idea of that I'm incapable of getting this. I'm incapable of doing this stuff for myself. Give it all to me. Because it's basically like a mouth that can never close. You're just throwing all these things into it, and it's representing temporary relief, but that mouth is still wide open. Feed me more, right? And then that never ends. And you're basically just throwing all this stuff into a bottomless pit because you're validating to that person they're a victim and they can't take care of themselves. They can't take care of each other. And so I got to step in and I got to take care of them, right? And in that form of survival, that represents at times much more of a detriment to a person than the idea of a benefit, right? So it's not to say that if we have a disaster or something like that happens, we're getting food together, we're doing all that, that's great. But we're doing that as a community. We're doing that, we're working together. We're contributing those particular resources and those materials together. That is fantastic because that's showing a mutual community, mutual prosperity in that way. But when it's coming from a person who has come from a point of suffering and does not see themselves as anything beyond that of a victim, and you're feeding that survival mentality into them, you're doing more harm than you are good. So the true teaching here is to helping those particular people, help them realize the potential, seeing what you see in yourself through your ability of being capable, through the values of what you have, for the ability to take care of yourself, the ability to help out others simply out of the goodness of your own heart, and educating in that way. That is the alleviation to suffering. Okay, so I wanted to put that out there for everybody. Okay, so we're going to answer 2 more questions, and then we're going to wrap up. So let's see here. Okay. Okay, well, here's a question that basically may serve a couple people as well. PK Plumelaire, hope I'm pronouncing that right, asks Adronis, how do I know my true authentic self, my true purpose? Thank you. Okay, thank you, PK. One moment. We thank you, PK, for your question. As it relates to your question, how do I know about my authentic self? How do I know when I'm in my authentic true self? And what is that purpose? Your authentic self is without purpose. Your authentic self is nature. And when you are playing with nature more, you will see all of the delicious varieties to which the universe can provide to you in great fruitful abundance. If you continue to label yourself by saying, I have this purpose, and I am this person, and that's it, you're in a box, you're in a cube. And you have created that cube, you have created that box because this is all you're validating inside yourself. Purpose is actually a limitation. Now, basically, you will utilize the aspect of purpose to direct yourself into something that you may feel is representing much more of a value to yourself other than what you're doing. Then that can be a stepping stone, yes. But the whole idea is that as long as you continue to say, I'm only attracting this. This is all that I'm meant to be. I'm just here to be this teacher, or I'm just here to be this musician, or I'm just here to be this dancer, or I'm just here to be this artist, and that's it. Then you're missing everything else that reality has for you. All coherency that exists with you right now. The authentic true self has no purpose whatsoever. It functions together as nature. Thinking of it in this analogy, when you are in a beautiful, lush forest and you only identify yourself as a shrub, you are missing all of the beautiful varieties of life that exists within that forest. I'm the dirt, I'm the trees, I'm the squirrels in the trees, I'm the bushes, I'm the shrubs, I'm everything that represents this forest, and more. Congratulations. You've aligned to your nature, not your purpose. So be very mindful as it relates to purpose itself, because that is a limitation. That is a confinement. It may be a very happy confinement in that particular way because you're playing with what you feel you enjoy. But what you're not doing is you're taking all of that love from that purpose and spreading it all throughout your reality like a butter knife to jam on a piece of bread. That's what you're here to do, dearest humans, is to let yourself play with all of these avenues of love and contribute those energies to all facets, all chains that link you together to everybody else and everything. And spreading that love out like jam with that butter knife spread throughout all these loaves of bread. That is what's going to make you the true, authentic self, is when everything is available to you, where you are nothing and you are everything together, where the emptiness of yourself allows you to see everything before you, and that is the paradox. And when you play with paradox, you discover the solution to the universe. That's how answers get resolved in the universe, is when you're playing with paradox. I empty myself to understand that everything is available to me and that I am everything and that I require nothing. Therefore, I will remain that aspect of emptiness because everything is around me, everything is here, but I don't require it. I'm completely in my harmony in being empty and being nothing in that particular way. But again, it's all about looking into how you are working with yourself through what you have applied as purpose in this current time. Can you let go of the feeling of what you have validated that you now know no longer serves you? That is the journey that is ahead for you. Being able to play with these aspects that you have assigned as meaning and being able to make them meaningless so that you are now flowing with nature like a reservoir channel that's taking you throughout the universe, and you're not doing anything but going along for the ride, enjoying every single moment that comes to you through this ride, throughout the universe, throughout creation, throughout all that is. We thank you very much for your question. Okay, so thank you very much, PK, for your question. So we're going to take one more question, and then we're going to wrap up tonight. Okay, here's a very interesting one that just caught my eye. This one is from Lainey Oswald, and she asks, Adronis, does the Mandela effect affect our soul contracts? Good question. Okay, one moment. We thank you very much for your question. Does the Mandela effect affect your soul contracts? Not really. But it's basically those trivial shifts that have taken place that give you a curiosity. Basically, in that sense, this is why there are not, shall we say, outlandish shifts when it comes to the Mandela effect. So the Mandela effect represents that idea of dimensional residual memory or divergent memory from one dimensional universe to another dimensional universe. And really, when you're noticing the Mandela effect and you're noticing these minute changes, perhaps happening within your films or other particular phenomena on your planet, you're noticing other dimensions exist. It's a reminder of helping you understand where you're headed moving into a fourth density culture, because that's going to become much more prominent. There will be possibilities for many of you existing in the fourth density to visit other realities. Not so much in regards to the physical body, but you will become much more malleable as the recognition to other parallel realities that exist. So that will become much more of a prominence to you in that way. But nothing can really be, shall we say, overridden past the soul contract. That simply can't be allowed to happen. So because you all have collective agreement, and nothing can basically enforce itself past the collective agreement. Everything is staged in that particular way that represents determinism. So this is what we referred to in the past of what you would know as predetermined free will. In your own eyes, you see everything as a state of confusion, as a state of choice. And again, the law of confusion, the law of free will. But from Spirit's vantage point, It already knows everything that you're going to experience from the day that you're born, from the time that you pass from your physical body. It is already aware about what's going to happen together to this collective consciousness. It is already aware about what's going to happen to this earth, millions or even billions of your years down the line. All of that is available to Spirit. Is Spirit going to tell you this? No, not really. Little bits of breadcrumbs here and there, little trinkles of dew that are coming down upon you is all you're ever going to receive, because if there is such a grand revealing, this completely contaminates the experiment. And the experiment is all to helping you empower, develop, validate what you know you're capable of through yourselves. That's why you're only getting these little trickling downs as it relates to spirit communication. But the Mandela effect, in that sense, they have attempted to place what you would know as your collective intent as it is now in this alpha line to a beta line that would represent something where they would hold more of a dominion. But that has been denied. No matter what those particular forms of elite Kabbalists attempt to do, they cannot override the path that you have chosen as a collective. There are other beta, gamma, delta lines, etc., that represent different themes of exploration within your life, but they will not comply in regards to what you would know as your concurrent reality. You will have these little minute changes that may happen that do not affect the overall essence of where you're going as a culture, as a collective, as a civilization. So that is unchangeable. We thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, and we now return to the conduit. We'll speak to you again, as now is forever, and all is one. Goodbye for now. Okay, thank you everybody once again for a really great participation here on the Reality Whisperer Webcast tonight. I had some really great conversations, some great questions as well from everybody. Apologize if I didn't get around to your questions. There's a lot of questions on the chat tonight. But again, you can go to the website, realitywhisperer.com, and you can always book a session with me, and I'm happy to talk with you a lot more. Of course, light circuitry attunements is on there as well, and free media, free meditations, and a lot more. So thank you, everybody, for this episode of the Reality Whisperer Webcast. We'll be coming back in 2 weeks on the Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, and some more exciting topics to discuss. So have a great day wherever you are in the world. Much love to you all. Namaste, and may it be well with you. Goodbye.